Hi, hello. You know, I genuinely thought that common sense was a thing. Conceptually, common sense is flawed. I can't assume every person has the same level of common sense for all of the same thing. We've all got different lived experiences informing us, different levels of education, blah blah blah, but there was some basic things that I never thought I'd have to tell someone, but I was wrong. You know that old boomer dialogue about how hard it is to find good workers? And I used to disagree because I am the antithesis of that statement. I like working and I work hard, and that gets me taken advantage of more often than not. But god damn it if I didn't meet my doppelgangers last summer, my negasonas, if you will. Labor work is hard, okay? I'm not bashing the intelligence of just any general laborer. I'm a general laborer, a physical laborer for my day job, and the work changes drastically by the season and the jobs we undertake, and I know that I'm not suited for some of it as much as the other parts. To humble myself before going on this tirade, I work in, let's say, a field of construction exclusive to woodworking, and power tools scare me. I hate saws, and I'm afraid of heights. I'll only go up on scaffold one level, and if I go higher, I have to crawl along, which is not ideal as a worker in my given field. And for a very long time, and I still feel like, I'm not a very good worker because I have those limitations. Everybody has limitations. It's not our fault. I shouldn't be in this line of work. We're all just humans, and I like to give, the credit of just being a human to people. We're not all perfect. We all have flaws. It's fine. But seriously, I didn't know how bad a worker could be. It makes me feel exceptionally better as a worker with my limitations to know this, but simultaneously overwhelmingly worse as a human being to know how poorly a simple task can be done. I didn't believe that I'd ever meet someone that needed to be instructed on how to fill a fucking dumpster. Is that not like the simplest task in the world? Not physically, but mentally. No brain, no prerequisites required. But still, requires just a little common sense, a little awareness. Like, you wouldn't pile everything at the door to get into the dumpster at the start of filling it because then you wouldn't be able to get to the back, right? That's simple. And the persons in question actually didn't do that, God bless. But our work creates a lot of debris that is mostly straight, large, and heavy, but of shapes and sizes that are manageable in a Tetris sense. But goddamn, if they didn't stack it into the dumpster in the least space effective way possible. I wish I'd taken a picture, and I'm sorry that I didn't. It was almost impressive how poorly the space in the dumpster was used. It probably couldn't have been more poorly stacked if they were actively trying. I've come to understand now something that I didn't know before putting this whole script together, and trying to reason through why some things happen the way they do, or why people do things some of the ways they do. And I realized that some people do work maliciously. They perform badly because they hate their work and they're pushing how much they can get away with. But the thing that I'm trying to talk about here is that this was genuine. Uh, the workers in question, the workers I was working with, they genuinely needed to be told, hey, can you try to make as many things fit in the dumpster as possible? And it's baffled me ever since. You could tell them, hey, tack this cardboard to a window with a couple staples to protect it from sandblasting. And what was the result? Another worker quite actually had to take an hour pulling staples out. Dozens upon dozens of staples, driven in, snapped off, cardboard that was intended to be used again, shredded from overuse, and the poor sill wood needlessly damaged. It was just stapling cardboard to a window. How did everything from the client's home to the equipment used to the other workers' time end up getting wasted on such a simple fucking task? And I don't mean to sound like a superior asshole, I really don't. But there are common sense courtesies, you might say, that you'd assume someone would consider based on their line of work or the task that they're doing. Like, you're actively doing it, you should be thinking about it. And I learned that that's just not the case. Bad workers do exist. That doesn't mean that they can't change, or like I said, that they're malicious, even though some are. But they do exist, and they can't be expected to work without supervision because the common sense that you'd hope that they'd have isn't there, and results in a lot of extra shit for no reason. All this to say that this was a lesson for me. I'm never, ever going to be a boss or in a leadership position because confrontation, even in a friendly sense, like saying, oh, hey, don't do that, or can you do that differently, fills me with anxiety, and I don't have the confidence to back myself up. But now I know how hard it can be. You can't trust things to be a given, to be so to those around you as well. Some people aren't suited for some jobs. Obviously, I'm not fully suited for mine. But that also includes the general ones that anyone should be able to do, or that they need utter supervision when completing tasks to the point that you can't assign them even the most basic one. This is in no way a comment on the capacity of neurodivergent or disabled people. Given appropriate tasks, they are more than capable of working hard and working well, and it's on the employer to know their limitations and work around that so everyone is happy and as fruitful as they can be. Looking back on it, I do start to wonder what mental problems were really going on, which neither that worker nor the boss was aware of. But the learned lesson is that, regardless of why, there is no such thing as a level playing field when it comes to hiring workers. I'm a fucking art and lit major. You wouldn't assume that I'm willing to break my back with physical labor or get so covered in sawdust that I can't see my own skin. Just like you wouldn't assume that someone who has worked in labor positions for however many years, their entire life, would actively perform the worst of any given menial task to prepare a worksite. If you take anything from this as an employer, I don't want to enable you to be skeptical or dismiss your workers of some reasonable oversight they may have performed, but I do want to urge you to consider the fact that every worker is an individual. It's not just that resumes can lie, work experience can too. Work ethics themselves aren't standardized, and neither is what we want to believe is common sense. And workers, I should say, if you encounter working with someone like this, and I guess I should also say if you're like me and the quality of work that your coworkers do, which inadvertently reflects on you, makes you feel bad, it's not your fault. You're not an asshole for wanting better from them. It's coming from a best for everyone place. I'm looking at this from a stance of not wanting more from my coworkers. I just want them to care about the work that they put in. In neither case that I mentioned, it would have required more effort from them, just more mindful actions. Quite honestly, it would have been less work and easier on them if they hadn't just plowed into doing the least effective thing possible to get the job done. If seeing that in others makes you uncomfortable, but you don't have the charisma to address it yourself to them, please tell your boss. You're not a tattletale if your intent is rooted in the betterment of everyone involved. And lastly, if somehow you're that type of ineffective worker who fits this bill and may find offense to all of this, don't. My advice to you is to just step back and think. If you receive a lot of criticism for the quality of your work, it's probably genuine and worth reflecting upon. We don't all need to have whatever common sense is about everything all the time. We're not gods, but if you find that you're struggling to complete things the way that everyone else seems to already know how to, that's not something to be ashamed of. There were confrontations with these alleged aforementioned coworkers at my job, and it always boiled down to an inherent miscommunication. Their assumptions of what it took to get a job done weren't the same as the employer's. Their problem solving didn't result in the problem getting solved, or a method that got the job done properly. And it could have always been resolved if the struggling coworker had just asked questions. I have social anxiety, I get it. It's hard to choose to out yourself as not knowing something or needing help. But let me tell you, as someone who has watched the fallout too many times and to such drastic degrees, the better option is always to just ask beforehand. Be preventative. Ask questions to get confirmation on a task that you're a little iffy on, even if it feels stupid. The end result will be so much better than if you plow ahead stubbornly and create an undesirable situation for your coworkers, because then everyone loses. Common sense isn't a thing, but proper communication can be, at least on your part. Thanks for watching. That was like a half angry rant and half like a motivational something. Okay, bye.